Chainsaw Man is the new manga sensation from Shonen Jump that you've probably already had several anime fans hold a gun to your head and demand that you watch, or so help them God they will kill your whole fucking family.
Describe what
Chainsaw Man
looks like.
There's a lot of people raving about how edgy it is and how cool the action or art is, but I think there's something way more interesting about Chainsaw Man that no one's talking about. Chainsaw Man is about incels. Let me guess. When I say incel, a certain image pops into your head. Basement-dwelling, overweight, video game addicted, misogynistic dudes that would gladly shoot up a school or two if the mood struck them.
You have zero value on the sexual marketplace. You feel invisible to the girls in school because you are.
But what if that's just a stereotype? And I'm not just saying that because that stereotype describes me perfectly, I'm saying it because watching Chainsaw Man completely rewired my conception of incels. See, before I watched Chainsaw Man, my understanding of incels came through the media. And boy does the media hate incels. But then I was watching Chainsaw Man and it hit me. Shit, I might be an incel. And maybe, just maybe, you might be one too.
What? What the fuck?
You just don't realize it yet. I blazed through the entire Chainsaw Man manga in the space of about 12 hours. It's an emotional, aesthetically gorgeous story about a desperate young man with a really low bar for happiness. All he really wants is some good grub and maybe a few squeezes of a titty. But his only road to any kind of happiness or acceptance is to pop several chainsaws out of his limbs and wade through oceans of demon entrails and decapitated heads, suffer multiple dismemberments and disembowelments himself, only to realize his entire life was a lie all along.
No! God, please, no! No!
It's not a manga for the faint of heart, that's for damn sure. But nothing has ever inspired more empathy for the loveless than this hilarious, dark piece of media. Denji represents every unpopular young boy. He doesn't have a demon fox in him, he isn't so powerful that others fear or envy him, he's just a traumatized boy that slipped through the cracks of society, left to pick up his father's debts without a friend in the world. Just when I was about to slit my wrists, the show thankfully introduced Pochita, Denji's adorable sidekick and the embodiment of Denji's final vestiges of innocence. Then the writer promptly kills Pochita off and I wanted to slit my wrists again. This fucking show is rough. But since we actually see a character dealing with the kind of cold-hearted cruelty most of us are confronted with in life or on the news, it elevates the show above the cartoonish struggle of most anime protagonists and makes it painfully real. Every ounce of character growth in Chainsaw Man is earned and built on the back of transformative suffering, rather than lazy writing where the audience is supposed to just take for granted that it's time for a character arc. Denji is also a true and total horn dog. It's such a perfect articulation of the current day when even the heroes in our comic books have abandoned all chivalry, altruism and duty and are really just motivated by getting some pussy. Characters like Luffy, Naruto, Batman and Spider-Man ring oddly hollow these days. As inspiring as good old shonen heroes can be, I just don't quite buy it anymore.
The longer you live, the more you look around, the more you realize something is fucked up. Something is wrong here.
But a young man willing to battle the devil himself for a bit of boob action makes complete sense. Even the villains in Chainsaw Man aren't really the demons Denji is fighting. It's the creepy, jaded society he lives in and the agents of the system that seek to control and manipulate Denji into being their perfect little lapdog, loyal and preferably neutered. And starved as he is for love, Denji goes right along with it. It throws into sharp relief the true enemy of our age, loneliness. And who among us isn't lonely? The term incels arose in the 90s, referring to communities of sad, lonely people that couldn't get laid. In the past 30 years though, things have taken a bit of a turn. Incels are now considered an ideology or an identity.
So essentially incel is an online subculture, you could call them. They exist within this thing which is colloquially referred to as the manosphere. It's where you find the men's rights activists, you find the MGTOW, which are men going their own way, you find the pickup artists. You can't really view this group as monolithic, but what they all have at the center is extreme misogyny.
Although I can't imagine any real human being walking up to me at a party and going, "Hi, I'm an incel." It's become more of a label or a tag to describe a stereotype, a group of right-wing racist dudes that think rape is fine and she probably had it coming anyway. But when you think about it, this picture doesn't quite make sense. We seem to have skipped a few steps.
Online, you can be anyone. I can be a far-right neo-Nazi, but I can also be a jihadist, and I can even be a man who is part of the incels movement.
What the fuck does racism have to do with an inability to find a fuck buddy? Well, probably a little. But why is it that incels receive way more focus for their political or social values than they do for their inability to get girls? Tatsuki Fujimoto, the writer of Chainsaw Man, unraveled this riddle for me. See, the lead character of Chainsaw Man, Denji, checks all the boxes for incels. He's lonely, he objectifies women, he's horny as all hell, and he's a bit of a degenerate. But he's intensely sympathetic and likable. Incel seems like a term that people on the outside started using to describe people inside of the group. And this group, for the most part, was not some kind of identity people were wearing as a badge of honor. It was just a group of unfortunate people that couldn't find love. And when you think about it that way, it's just kinda sad. Chainsaw Man does a great job of illustrating what that kind of loneliness does to you. I mean, think about it. Every single human being you have come across has basically implied you aren't worthy of love and you aren't really desirable.
This is what we say to ugly people. We don't like your face. We just don't like it. So no one's gonna fall in love with you, and it's unanimous. Sorry.
That's rough. And I think most of us can relate to that. But very few among us can actually understand what it's like to go through our whole life like that. And even fewer among us can understand when people like us, whose only crime might be that we're lightspeed ugly or that we aren't debonair conversationalists with the ladies, basically being called school shooters about to pop off. Another uncomfortable issue that doesn't get brought up in the discussion around incels, which Chainsaw Man highlights, is that a lot of people can't get laid because they're poor.
Cash rules everything around me. Green, get the money. Dollar bill, yo.
And I'm not saying you need to have stacks of cash to get laid. I'm saying that when you're poor, like proper poor, you don't have a lot of time or opportunity to hang out at parties chatting up girls, if you know what I mean. So that's the picture. We've basically taken a group of lonely, probably poor, unattractive people and decided to blame them for all of society's ills. It's bonkers. That's not to say that some incels haven't done reprehensible shit, but I'm talking about the vast majority of incels that have never hurt a soul. At this point, the term incel has very little to do with sex and mostly to do with ideology and propaganda. I have plenty of friends that are just like Denji, struggling to find a guy or a girl to share their life with. And they're not bigots, and they are not serial killers. They're just suffering. At the end of the day, unless you're Jeff Bezos or Chris Hemsworth, you're probably not dating as much as you'd like. So if you've been feeling lonely, or you're thinking about joining one of those subreddits about how women need to go back into the kitchen or whatever, check out Chainsaw Man. It won't help you get a girlfriend, but it might make you feel less alone.
俺がてめえの血飲んで帰っか永久期間が完成しちまったね
And sadly, there's not a lot of people lining up to help these people. Pretty much the only people in their corner are charlatan pickup artists on YouTube and Instagram and Jordan Peterson.
Well, God, you know.
And even Peterson is generally telling these guys that there's probably something wrong with them and they need to step up their game if they expect any women to take notice. But I know extremely accomplished guys and girls with plenty to offer and great personalities that still struggle with incelhood. A lot of people are just awkward or jilted by an ex that cheated on them or just depressed. Cut these people a goddamn break. If you have friends like that, people you know that have a good heart, set them up with your friends. Seriously, it is rough out there and Tinder is a waking nightmare. And if you can't set them up, just be there for them. Because being rejected by the world brings up some dark shit. And the best way to respond to angry, hurt people isn't with hatred and fear. It's love and kindness that transforms people. Chainsaw Man brought up a lot of bad memories for me. But in the end, I was so happy I gave it a shot and it was really worth it. And I highly recommend it. Well, that's my little rant on Chainsaw Man and incels. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.